Hey there, welcome to another episode of Two Lads Garage. A few months back I started doing another installment, filming it for my 1980 Dodge D150 Budget Build series. And this is something that's just ongoing. It's a project I got. We're building this Dodge truck to something that can be fun, vintage, and affordable. Now, while editing the video, I decided that maybe this will be better sort of breaking down the different projects, because might be somebody out there finds it useful. So today, what the video is me rebuilding the steering column on the inside. We had signal lights that didn't work. We had a piece of metal jammed in the ignition. Now we got new keys, working signal light, changed the steering wheel. A few other things in there. As you can see, I still got some loose ends to tie out. But sure, yes, we're doing that steering column as part of the budget build today. And you can see that other things coming. I still got to do the dash for the second time because I didn't like how the first one turned out. Button that up. And yeah, I'm going to have air conditioning. And there's a bunch of other stuff to do. We got to get the fuel tank working. But anyway, enough of that. Let's rebuild that steering column. Alright, another elephant in the room that needs to be addressed. The key is just something that's jammed in there, a piece of metal. The signal lights don't work. And the horn thing is missing. It has this button in here. And there's cracks to the frame of the steering wheel. So, I kind of like this steering wheel, kind of like to keep it, but you know, maybe later on I can repair it, get a horn button that actually does something, and be able to reuse it. But that day's not today. Now, a while back I was helping a friend pull a slant sits at the junkyard, and this was a truck that a tree had fallen on, and you could tell it was somebody's toy. They really enjoyed it, but nonetheless, what happens happens sometime. The radiator to that truck is in this one now. But I also pulled this. Now, that was like an 84, 85 model. A little newer, but still nonetheless had a nice steering wheel. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this steering wheel up because it's been sitting in storage for a little while. It's quite filthy. And we're going to put this steering wheel in there and also pop the steering wheel off, fix turn signals, put a new ignition tumbler in it so I actually have keys rather than jury-rigged, and I guess whatever is after that. 13/16. Now, am I going to get lucky? Didn't think so. Alright, so I got my puller on the wheel, found the right combination. And one thing I learned last time when I was working on my Pontiac was it's good to have the steering wheel nut just a little bit on. Because the big thing is I'll keep you from mushrooming your threads. That's no fun, ask me how I know. The other thing one of my friends pointed out to me, thank you Dwayne, is that it is entirely possible that when this thing decides to let go, it could fly up and smack you in the face. So it happened to him a couple times. So keeping that nut on there will keep it where it belongs. So hopefully this thing will just, yeah, it came right off. Sometimes they'll come off if you hit them with a hammer. Sometimes they like this better. Yeah, there we go. One steering wheel off. Ooh. Had some critters living in here. First thing's 90-second. Make sure the steering wheel is actually going to work on this. It might not. I don't know. That's not like that. Oh wow. One thing I didn't mention was I marked on a Sharpie where the top was. At the time I did not realize that the Dodge was actually keyed to only go one way. So while I was thinking my steering wheel wasn't going to work, I actually have to line the key up on this one. So that's that actually is kind of cool. But nonetheless, having discovered that, go ahead and get the switch here out. Yeah, she done. Whoop. We're going to paint this before it goes back in. So it's that for now. Still being held in one spot. Oh, maybe not. Alright, so got valve. Now we got to get down to this lock cylinder. So in here there's one of those C-clip pins that I got to get in there and separate to get this part off. Then I can get to the ignition switch and hopefully have better access to get these wires out. Oh my goodness, what a mess. What a mess. From the grave he arose with a mighty triumph for his foes. He arose and Alright, so to better demonstrate what I was talking about, 1, 2, 3, zip, 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 out. In here, zip, zip, zip. Uh-oh, stuck. It's hard to see, but right there's a little ring that kind of goes around like that. You gotta get the pin pliers that go and get them out. So now I have to go play Inspector Gadget and see if I can't figure out where the pliers I got for that are and get those pins off. Alright, so I found my pin pliers, I guess is what they're called. I don't know how I'm going to do this because these things are little. The holes in this clip are just so small that I don't know. Alright, so I'm just going to show you my snap ring pliers are a little too big for those holes. And I really don't want to go and buy another tool. So I started working with flathead screwdrivers and I got it popped off a little bit there. And I'm just kind of chasing it around and holding it out. Hopefully if I can get out of there and up on the shaft, I can pull it forward and get it off, and I reckon I'll worry about how I get it back on later. Alright, it's actually worked, just taking the screwdrivers and working it off. How am I going to get back on? I have no idea, but I got it off. Now we're coming forward. What's next? Alright, so now I'm looking at, alright, the cylinder goes in somehow. And something's holding it. So I'm thinking I gotta get to something in here. Or that's gotta come off one. Oh boy. Well, let's take this off, see what happens. Alright, so that plate's off now. And you're a whole lot better off using a number 3 screwdriver because this one started to strip. And a number 3 Phillips instead of a standard number 2 was the secret to getting that out. But now that we're in here, it appears to me that that's a release pin. Do like that. And somehow or another this thing comes out. And there she is with a GM key stabbed in there. Interesting. Alright, so the turn signal lever. I went after it with some steel wool. It actually cleaned up a lot better than I thought it would. Nonetheless, we still got a bit of rust pitting. And this is a budget bill, so that means some silver spray paint I have around for something else. So anyway, I hung it by a wire from this tree here. Gonna turn this red maple into a silver maple. And then completely forget about it until I buy a new one because I can't find it. And then it will bump me in the head while I'm cutting grass under the tree. Good as new. Alright, so it goes on like this. You got a groove in the back, matches the groove on the cylinder. So match them up, push this little spring-loaded tab in, push the cylinder in. Alright, now that's in. You're also going to want to make sure that in here it lined up if there's a notch in that wheel on the tumbler. That's how the ignition and all goes in, so you just do that in. And then this is the unlock. There you go. So now I just need to put this plate back on here that keeps that from doing stuff it shouldn't be doing, and then try to see if I can't remember how this all went together. Because surely I paid good attention and took detailed notes. Nope, not at all. Reminds me of when I was a kid and I'd take something apart and my dad go, that'll never work again. It's kind of how I feel. Bring y'all in a little closer. Hey, that better? That way I don't have to hold the phone. And y'all can just watch and learn and laugh at my mistakes. Anyway, got the slot here, goes over that. Honestly, I think, I could be wrong, but I think this whole thing would work without that plate. But I am going to put it back on like it belongs. So go ahead and carefully screw that in. That's back on there. Oh! Well, I got this off before I put this back on and have to fight with it to get it off. My turn signal thing, I need to change that out while I got good access. So, alright, got that unplugged. Looks like I'm going to take this collar off down here, up under the steering wheel. Oh, jeez Louise, Aaron. My shadow lights, I forgot all about them. They're not working. How come? I'll tell you, this is a whole lot easier than a 66 Mustang. Hopefully I'll never have to do another Mustang one of these. And there you go. There's the package there. Now let's just put a new one in. Oh no, I think somebody just laid an egg. Let's go ahead and fish a wire through here. Alright, so now to fish this through. Came out, so certainly it'll go back. Ford, take note. This is how it's done. Then again, that car is almost 60 years old that I'm talking about, so yeah, doing that while the gauges are out, definitely the right move. I'll pull this back out again because of that stupid, excuse me, don't cuss on the channel, that stupid ring. Oh, and I also got the wheel lock thing. Crapo. I wonder where that spring was. Oh boy. Let the games begin. Yeah, figure out how I'm going to put that snap ring back on. That's going to be much fun as a barrel of monkeys. Nope. Figure out where that spring went. I'm sure we need that. Then figure out this whole steering wheel thing. Well, it's time for me to put stuff away for the evening. 4 in the morning gets here awful early. And well, I got a job at Pays I have to attend, so. Anyway, hopefully after work tomorrow I'll be back with y'all, and well, we might even have this truck to where we can drive it again. That would be cool. I'm not counting on it. I think it's going to be another evening like this. And then maybe the evening after next, we'll have this thing ready to go. At least driving. Still got work to do before it's ready to go OBX, but we've made some progress. We're moving in the right direction. I will see you after work tomorrow. So I did my homework, and my old school teachers watching probably think I'm lying right now. Anyway, that spring does get behind that. So, just a minor inconvenience. So I have to pull this back off. Alright. Easy off. Spring on the shaft. And back on. That wasn't so bad. That wasn't bad at all. Okay. So I got it back on again now. I gotta put that cussed snap ring back on. There's got to be a better way to do this. Alright, so what I did was I used punch just to kind of hold the ring in place. And then the screwdriver to separate and push it on now, and just kind of going around it, pushing it little by little. Thinking I'm not doing this the right way, but if it works, is it really wrong? Keep going to pull myself out with a steering wheel and there's not one there. Don't realize how much you do it until it's gone. Alright, so I'm going to take a vice grip here and just grab the shaft down here. Not where it's got the splines of a wheel or the threads of a nut. Just going to grab it. Now I'm going to try to push that ring the rest of the way down. There it went. It snapped that time. Thank goodness. I've heard some other guy on YouTube say this is the best tool ever invented. I don't know if I go as far as the best, but it's pretty darn good. That guy's pretty smart. But I've been doing this longer. I just hadn't had a YouTube channel longer. So now I'm just going to take and put these screws in the holes, 1, 2, 3, and get the turn signal switch attached. Yeah, that's certainly cross-threaded. Alright, so we got that in. Need to get the arm back on. Where did I put that thing? Where did I put that lever at? Told you I'd lose it till I found that cutting grass. Steven Spielberg, quit calling me. I'm busy. Alright, I'd do a little acting. Nonetheless, Spielberg, I actually will take your call. Tastes like silver spray paint. You know, it tastes different than blue and yellow and red and orange and whatever other colors. I don't want to keep saying because I'll probably repeat myself and forgot. So anyway, cleaned up. She don't look half bad. I normally find it pretty interesting how different companies design these pieces and other pieces and whatnot, and who alls I like better. I will say, as far as how the this rod goes in. Not liking Dodge on this one. More of a Ford fan of this. If we could combine the Dodge wiring and the Ford method of lever attachment, we have a nice system. Alright, so that's on there now. Alright, so we got the lever arm on now. And now I'm going to put this metal thing on right there. Just like that. And put the screws into it. Alright, so I got the new / less old steering wheel here in my hand. And one thing I did before I put it on is where the horn contact is for the piece that comes out of a steering column. I took some steel wool and cleaned it up, so I'm going to have a fair bit of oxidization. And just to make sure that's good and clean, could put a little CRC on it. Cancel it out with a dirty rag. This piece right here, the retaining ring, has two purposes. One, keep the metal and the plastic and all that together. And two, when it goes through and hits the cams while the signal's on, that's what cuts it off. So now I'm going to look and I'm going to find the piece of a spline that's keyed and the piece of a spline that's keyed on the steering column. Other car manufacturers take note, I like this. I swear, my Mustang, I had to drive up and down the road, come back in my driveway, take a crescent wrench I had sitting in my lap, take the steering wheel off, recenter it, drive again. I had to do that 5 or 6 times to get that thing perfect. This keyed, love it. Alright, steering wheel on. Now let's get the horn button on. This is definitely easier with a handheld screwdriver too. Alright, so there we go. Yeah, she needs a little more cleaning on that steering wheel, but we'll get to that. We've got a signal light lever that works now. There we are, that's a lot better. Liking it. Liking it, liking it, liking it. So that'll do it for the steering column rebuild portion of the budget build of a 1980 Dodge D150. I think everything in there working now. Just need to button a few things up. And anyway, if you would, go ahead, hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel, hit notification bells, do all that cool stuff that helps me out, and maybe I can help you out on your build too. So until next time, take care of your projects, be good to each other, treat yourself good, and I'll see you again soon. Take care and goodbye.